The history of the Curlew really starts with it actually being a bay of Lake Bonneville. And then you had the Shoshone and the Bannock tribes here hunting. And then eventually we had the homesteaders. And that is the history that we live with more today, is the history of the homesteaders. And they came with hopes and dreams of establishing this area. They made a go of it. They were farming, and during that turn of the century from about the 1900s into the 20s, they were creating homes.
My mother used to say she knew everybody on every 160 acres, and then they gradually moved away and went and resettled somewhere else. Resettlement was back when the government come out with the program to go around and buy out all the homesteaders that wanted to sell and go somewhere else and farm better, because they were starving to death in this country trying to farm it.
It was hard for them. They did anything to make a living at the last there, because they just couldn't make a living off of what they had.
In 1942, approximately 168,000 acres of the Curlew Valley was deemed to be submarginal lands based on the history of the dirty 30s, as they called them. Those years between 1942 and 1960, this area is predominantly managed by the Soil Conservation at the time, which is now the NRCS. And then they deemed that it would be the Forest Service that would actually manage this 46,000 acres. The 160,000 acres that originally was there, some of that went to the BLM, some of that went back into private land ownership. But to this day, because the Forest Service is within here on this 46,000 acres, we still continue to work with the private landowners intermixed within the grassland here. And we are still figuring out how to best work together in managing for this area for the betterment of all, and certainly for the health of the land.
A lot of landowners, their fathers and grandfathers spent their entire lives removing sagebrush.
You read about my pioneers, and they chopped a lot of that sagebrush down with axes, and then they took it and put it in a big pile and burned it.
Sagebrush isn't worth having. It's a waste.
There is an argument that there's too much sagebrush, you hear that from some people. But really, when it comes right down to it, this does serve an incredible function for wildlife and for livestock.
The Curlew has been managed hard historically. Generations have been down here, things have changed. We're not going to see a change in 1 to 2 years, but we're hoping we're making a difference where the momentum builds and we make a change on the Curlew for the long term.
It's a hard place to appreciate. You think maybe that they've ruined it, but to understand the history of the place is certainly to understand its flavor, its landscape, and what this place has to offer in the history of us as a nation.